Hello, and welcome to Mapping Bigfoot. I'm your host, Scott Tompkins, and this is a podcast where we're going to dive deep into the world of Bigfoot research, technology, and adventure. And we're going to explore the unknown, analyze data, and talk to all kinds of experts in the field. I'm excited to be here. I'm stepping a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm usually behind the keyboard and behind the mouse, and I'm making maps and doing analysis, and I'm not usually in front of the camera. So, thank you for being patient with me and coming with me on this journey because it's definitely new for me. But I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be entertaining. I have terrible jokes. So if you make it through this episode and you make it to the next one, you have a terrible sense of humor too, which is great because that means we'll get along. I'm a nerd and I love Bigfoot. I love Bigfoot research. I love making maps. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun conversations. We're going to get into a lot of fun adventures. We're going to go into the field. We're going to do Making Tracks with Scott, which is going to be a segment where we, in future episodes, go into the field and we do all kinds of expeditions and research and we learn all kinds of things. And I'm going to share that with you, the viewers and the listeners. And then we're also going to have a segment on this podcast today, this episode, where I highlight some of my or one of my favorite gadgets. I can't wait to get to that. And then another thing we're going to do in a lot of these episodes, because it is so map centric, we're going to work together on the web app and the map. And one of the things we're going to do in this episode towards the end is look at the new map that I've got out there that has the hotspots and filters and all kinds of tools. One of the hidden gems that I'm going to highlight too, actually, are the elevation profile tool, where you can create an elevation profile by clicking in the map. And then also, I'm going to show you how to add your own data to the map, like shape files or CSVs and things like that. So you can incorporate your own research into what I've already done and really start to tailor and use the map that I've created and take all of that information and bring it into your research and your research area. I'm really excited to get through a bunch of those topics today. But first, since I've just kind of given you the highlights of the show, I think it's really important, since it's the first episode, that maybe you guys get to know me a little personally, since I'm kind of a stranger and a newbie coming into the Bigfoot community. I thought it would be good to tell you a little bit about myself, where I come from, what my qualifications are, what my degree is, all those kinds of things. So, just to start, I'm a New Yorker, if you can't tell by my accent. I've lost a lot of it, but I grew up in a little town called Beacon, New York, which is about an hour north of New York City. It's in the Hudson Valley on the Hudson River, and it is the best of both worlds. Really, it's a great place to live and grow up. You've got the Hudson Highlands and the mountains in your backyard, the river, and then also if you want to get on the train and go down to New York City, it's a short ride. So it's great. There's all kinds of culture. There's food. There's hunting, fishing. There's outdoor activities. It's actually like a paradise up there. It's great. I can't say a bad thing about it. I miss it every day now that I live in Houston. But then again, I love Houston too. So, like I said, I grew up in New York, and my family growing up, we were always outdoors. My parents, Ron and Lisa, and then my brothers, Craig and Ryan. We were always outdoors doing something, hunting, fishing, hiking, camping, canoeing. I could go through the whole alphabet to list all the activities we've done, and we still do. And doing all those activities, I really, really built and really developed a deep appreciation for nature. I grew up loving birds, for example. I wanted to be an ornithologist growing up in high school, all the way through high school and college, really. Um, an embarrassing story. I used to sit out under the bird feeder with handfuls of bird seed in each hand, as still as a statue, and waiting for those birds to come and land in my hands so I could just look at them, just like this, and get a peek at those birds up close. I was fascinated by birds, and um, I still carry that with me. I still do wildlife photography when I'm out doing research, and I just can't get enough of being in nature. So I think that I'm exceptionally privileged to be able to talk about that and share that with you guys. I'm very lucky and I'm very happy to be able to do this. I hope we're going to have a lot of adventures together. We're going to have a lot of good episodes, and we're going to find out some cool things and make some discoveries together, hopefully, and make some insights and really get down to business in this podcast series. But that's a little bit about me personally. But why did I decide to do the Bigfoot mapping project? Um, so how did I get inspired or sucked into this world, right? Because it's not something you think about growing up, or at least I didn't until I really started to hear these stories from people while I was out doing work. I got out of college. Shout out to SUNY Cortland. A GIS degree is my background, and right after college, I got into the field of seismic exploration, and it's a bit obscure, but it's a great field, very interesting, and it's, one of the key features of it, what I was doing was traveling around the country and, talking to a lot of people, because we had to get permission to work on their land, and we got to learn about their land, and I was mapping all of it. I got to talk to people, through, let's see, West Virginia, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Texas, and almost everywhere in between. And I heard a lot of fascinating oral history from these people. Stories about Bigfoot and their family, Bigfoot encounters while they were hunting, Bigfoot encounters in their swamp, in Louisiana in particular. And these stories really intrigued me, and they kind of stuck with me as I was traveling and doing my work. And I realized that this oral history, much like other oral histories, if it wasn't captured and documented, was going to disappear. And I felt like I was in a unique place and a unique spot to have the ability to build a database and have the desire to do it. So I was struck with the idea to build the Bigfoot mapping project, and here we are talking about it 4 years later, when I started in 2020. And the Bigfoot mapping project, let me tell you a little bit about that. The Bigfoot Mapping Project, if you don't know what it is a crowdsourced uh, database where we capture historical Bigfoot reports and sightings. We've digitized John Green's database. We have another historical database. We have a worldwide database, and we bring them all together along with our crowdsourced data set into one web app and one map. And we do all kinds of analysis on it. We publish those maps, and what we find, usually on Instagram, but in other medium as well, but mainly, if you want to find out the analysis that we're doing, it's all the maps really lend themselves to that platform. So we put them up there quite a bit, and what that helps us do is share the data with other researchers and other citizen scientists who might not have the software we've got or might not have the background we have. We try to the royal we, it's I try to put out useful information and maps that will help you do your research or find a research area or learn more about Bigfoot, learn more about the environment and all of those things. In addition to the maps that we put out, though, from the Bigfoot Mapping Project, we've also got the web app, like I said, and we have a mobile app as well. So you can use this map and report sightings from the field. But, with all that said, why am I sitting here hosting the Mapping Bigfoot podcast? Why should you care about what I have to say? And I think that's a fair question. But I believe that I'm uniquely qualified to host this podcast. I mean, because of my background, it's given me a deep understanding of the importance of data and mapping in uncovering trends and insights. Because I had to use this to make an operation go forward, and I had to make real time decisions and actionable intelligence that we were garnishing from the field. Like the surveyors and everyone would bring information into me, and I had to digest it through the map and make decisions that would influence the success of our operation. And much like that operation, we're searching for Bigfoot in our project, right? So we're taking in information from all of the crowdsourced sightings and reports, putting them into the database. We're doing analysis. We're making actionable intelligence. We're making decisions. We're showing you the analysis we're doing. And through my professional experience and my passion combined, I think that I'm at a point now where to do this podcast, I can share so much more than just a post on Instagram. I can take you through my thoughts, my methods. We can learn from other experts and incorporate what they have to teach us into our analysis. I'm really excited to be in a position where I can share this endeavor and this passion with you. And I hope you're ready to go along with me on that journey. I'm really excited to be here if I haven't said that already. Also, fair warning, please be ready to endure. And if I haven't said this already, please be ready to endure bad jokes. I'm a dad now. So it's just, I've just completely changed. My jokes are terrible. They're just awful. They're going to be sprinkled in here, but just, ignore them and keep listening, please. But I've spent, like I was saying before, the podcast, it's going to allow us to share my highlights, my insights, the trends we're finding, and also I think it's another avenue for me to share the things that I do in the field, cool gadgets I'm using, new technologies I'm learning about, new software, all of these things through the segment that I mentioned earlier, the map bites, where we're going to talk about, like I said, new technologies. The one I'm going to highlight today is called Zoleo. It's a satellite communicator and it's really cool. I've used it in the field. I actually have it right here on my desk. I'll talk about it a little while later in the podcast, how to use it, what it does, and why I think it's so useful. Um, but really, I can't wait to get to that and really get through the whole episode. There's so much to talk about. Um, my but most importantly, now that you know my background and my qualifications, I guess I should tell you about my goal with the Mapping Bigfoot podcast. Man, it's like a tongue twister. I'm not going to edit that out though, because it's just a real struggle, and I want to see you. I want you to know that I'm really trying here. But my goal with the Mapping Bigfoot podcast is to make learning about Bigfoot fun and also accessible. That's the most important part, is sharing this and making everything accessible to all of you. I also want to sprinkle in a little bit of humor, like one of my favorite wildlife show hosts, Jeff Corwin. Funny story, he actually, when I was a kid, waved at me from a float in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. True story. And from that day forward, I was like, I'm going to be on Animal Planet. That's now a new goal. Um, Still working on it. I'm almost 40, so we'll get there one day. But a little bit more about the Bigfoot mapping project, just a little more background, and then we'll get into the first segment today. It was founded in 2020, and again, the simple goal, just to summarize, is we want to gather and analyze data on Bigfoot sightings to find patterns and insights that could help us understand more about this elusive creature. And now, 4 years later, after we started, I'm excited to share these findings, interview experts, and bring you along on our adventures through this podcast. Now, to our first segment. I want to take you back to the origins of the Bigfoot Mapping Project and really dive into how it all started. I referenced it earlier and and briefly explained it, but I really want to explain how the idea came to me, and a little bit about what seismic is, because I think it's important to understand what I was doing out all over around the country and why I was so inspired and what I saw while I was working out there. So while I was working out doing seismic, and I guess I should tell you what seismic is. Seismic is a geophysical method of investigating the subsurface of the Earth. And what we do is we put energy into the ground. So by using like small explosive charges or vibroseised trucks, which have a pad that makes contact with the ground and vibrates, and it literally sounds like as it goes up through all the frequencies to make sure that energy gets into the ground. And what that is basically doing is creating like a sonogram of the earth. So these projects cover, this is why I think it's important to mention this. These projects cover hundreds, if not thousands, of square miles in rural, remote areas. And what I was doing was making maps of these areas. So I got to understand the features, the boundaries, where corridors were running, where wildlife was, because we captured that all in our survey. And w- when we completed the survey, we had a good understanding of what was beneath the surface, but also on top of the land, culture wise, houses, where cattle roam, all of these things. So I had a complete picture of this project that I was working on. And if you have any more questions about seismic, I won't dive too much into it, but essentially that's what it is. And the purpose of it is to find oil and gas, to map minerals, to map geological features like faults and things like that, and fluid reservoirs. Um, and what it helps do is make drilling more surgical, more precise, and more safe. Right. So it's really important. Um, a really important, often not talked about part of exploration. But all that nerdy stuff aside, during my time in these remote areas, when I was doing my job, I also met a lot of the landowners and their family and people that lived in the community. And they would tell me these stories about, let's see, one that I'll reference was a gentleman in Oklahoma. He told me about his grandfather and his grandparents, and their experience with a Bigfoot that would habitually follow and leave gifts to their family. And he just, he showed me where it happened on their property. Same thing happened in West Virginia, where a hunter told me about his sighting. When he was sitting in a tree stand, he saw a brown and white Bigfoot walk across a ridge. Another time in Louisiana, uh, my actually, this one is my father-in-law told me about his experience in the Honey Island swamp when he heard a blood-curdling scream that he'd never heard before. Um, and he's an avid outdoorsman, and he swears up and down it was something unexplainable, maybe Bigfoot. So all of these things, combined just fuel my desire to understand and find Bigfoot and make advancements in this project. So how did the Bigfoot mapping project really come about, right? I was inspired. I'm an avid, I have my degree. I grew up in the outdoors, but really what made me put pen to paper and put the effort in to build the project. And truthfully, it was a little bit of frustration because I wanted to get answers and I wanted to save this oral history that I knew would disappear, but also it was boredom. I hate to admit it. During quarantine, I got so bored that I ran out of things to do. Everything was closed, and I was finally at a point where I was like, "All right, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to build this." The web app and the maps were the easy part for me because I already knew how to do it. But the mobile app was something that I had to learn and teach myself how to do. So I hit YouTube, I hit Google, and I learned how to make a mobile app as well. And I put all of this data into a database and put it out there on bigfootmap.com. And the Bigfoot mapping project was born. Um, so now people can submit their sightings with precise GPS coordinates. You can attach photos and detailed descriptions, making it a super powerful tool for gathering and analyzing Bigfoot data. It's really the app, along with the database behind it, has really become the backbone of the Bigfoot mapping project. I don't think I would have the project and be able to do what I do without building that foundation first. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about all the things that we're going to cover in this podcast series. And because of that, we can track Bigfoot and learn about Bigfoot better than we ever could before. And I think the things we're going to discover with the guests we're going to have on, and also the things we're going to work through together um, as we go through this season, and hopefully many seasons to come, I think we're just going to continuously build and grow together. I'm looking very much forward to it. I think the episodes and my jokes along the way will also get better. So be patient, be nice in the comments. But most of all, I really hope you find it entertaining and engaging. With that said, I think, we've made it all the way through to the Bigfoot mapping project, but I just wanna reiterate our goal so that it's clear why we're here and what we wanna do. And our goal, be it simple yet ambitious, is to compile sighting data and analyze patterns, to provide a resource for researchers and citizen scientists alike. We're really aiming to turn anecdotal evidence into something more substantial, something that can be studied and understood. And just like Bigfoot's legendary footprints, we're leaving or trying to leave a trail of data for everyone to follow. Why are we different though? We're here. We're doing the project, but why are we different? And I want to establish that what makes us different is really our approach. We're taking a big data approach and using crowdsourcing to collect our data. So the idea is that by leveraging the power of the crowd, we can gather a much larger and more diverse set of data than any single researcher or organization could on their own. There's people everywhere, and there's Bigfoot roaming, and who better to capture it than the people that are there? Um, I wrote about this. If you're curious about like a scientific or a more factual based paper, quantitative paper, really, I wrote about it in the relict hominoid inquiry that's published by Dr. Jeff Meldrum from Idaho State University. You can just go to the relict hominoid inquiry, just Google it, and you can find our article under brief communications. If you're, I won't be that dry on the podcast, but I thought it was worth mentioning where you can find some more information about the project. If I've perhaps left something out because I'm so excited to be talking about it, you can go find more information there, and I'll definitely post it in the show notes. It's I wrote it when we um, first went public with the project. Dr. Meldrum contacted me and asked if I'd like to write a paper, and of course, I thought I was being punked because why would he have found me? But it turns out I was not, and I'm very eternally grateful to be included in that. I think it lends a lot of credibility to the project, and it really helped us get off the ground. So I wanted to mention that in this podcast episode because it was a few years ago. And some people might not know it's out there to be read. So again, Bigfoot, the relict hominoid inquiry, the Bigfoot mapping project under brief communications, and I'll put that in the show notes. But more, if you want to delve deep into it, you can go there. But briefly, I'll explain a little bit more about crowdsourcing. The methods that we use to crowdsource would be our survey. So, if you're talking to a lot of people, you're going to get a lot of different answers and a lot of different way of communicating. But what we've done to mitigate that is build a standardized survey, right? So you can jump on to the submit a report at bigfootmap.com or through one of the apps, and you can actually answer simple yes no questions and then describe your encounters. All of this we will go through in the demo later on in the episode. But I want to mention it here because it's important to note that there is standardization, even though we're getting reports from so many different people. Um, and that standardization allows us to do a lot of analysis on the data, and which gets back to the data science principles that I mentioned earlier. Um, when you start to have standardized data and look at it in a systematic way, um, through those big data principles, you're going to have outliers, right? But you're also going to have the meat of the data, is what I like to call it. So when you start to have a big enough data set, and when you get there, you're going to have those outliers, even though they may be correct or they may be a one off behavior or things like that. You might lose some of that data. But generally, those outliers or that less reliable data is going to fall out of the data set. And what you're going to be left with is this reliable, predictable data set that you can then use to do more analysis, build predictive models, build reliable models, and hopefully have a much more ground truthed, more accurate data set. That's what we're trying to get to with our crowdsourcing approach. And like I started by saying, what makes us different? And it's that a lot of other organizations send a researcher out, an investigator, if you will, to visit with witnesses. And that investigator's opinion is factored into the weight of the report and how it's treated. That is not wrong. It's just different from the way that we're taking the approach. We're going to let the the data set speak for itself instead of introducing an investigator's bias into the report. I think that's a big differentiator, and it might be a little controversial for people. People might not agree with it, but I just want to establish why we're not like other organizations in terms of the way that we do our analysis. And I think this is a great time to talk about it because we're just getting started off. So why not establish how we're different and how we expect to find success through crowdsourcing and big data analysis and big data principles using GIS. Let's see. I had a joke in my outline here and I completely skipped over it, but you guys are probably better for it. I'll come back to it later if I run out of material. Um, but this brings us to our next segment. So we've established who I am, my personal background, my degree, why I'm interested in Bigfoot, why I was inspired to start the Bigfoot mapping project. And now we're going to get to one of my favorite things because I love gadgets and technology. We're going to start with two things I'm going to highlight. The first one, before I get into my actual map bite segment, I'm going to talk about what GIS is. And then I'm going to get into the Zolio. So we're going to do like a broken technology segment here. First one's going to be just a general background on GIS. So you understand how the project, what the foundation of the Bigfoot mapping project is. And then we're going to get into a tool or a gadget that I use in the field. So the biggest part of the Bigfoot mapping project, you've heard me reference it already in this episode, is GIS. And what is GIS? GIS is a really powerful technology that allows us to capture, store, manipulate, analyze, manage, and present spatial data or geographical data uh, in map form, basically. It's the science of where is what Esri's slogan is. And who's Esri? Esri is the Environmental Science Research Institute, and they are the forefather, if you will, of GIS. They're a private company that makes the best mapping software out there. No, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I use it every day, and really, once you're in an Esri product, you just they're it's great. I bring them up because it's the foundation, really, of the web apps that you see and that you're going to be using. They're all built on ArcGIS Online's cloud-based GIS platform. And then there's also a secondary plugin, if you will, that works hand in hand with ArcGIS Online, the web apps, called Survey 123. And that's how I take in the reports and the encounter information in a standardized form. So that's the technology foundation of the Bigfoot mapping project. For all you nerds out there, I can get into more detail if you like, but I think now that we've covered the foundation, I think it's important to understand the process, right, of uh, how the information makes it into the project through the GIS and through the survey, and then gets into the map and what we do with it, really. So the first thing I want to highlight is data collection. Like I was talking about, this is like the first thing. Contributors through crowdsourcing can upload their sightings and observations directly to ArcGIS Online. So this data is instantly available for our team, the royal team, me, for analysis. It's like a Bigfoot hotline. We get the scoop as soon as it happens. That survey gets filled out, it gets submitted, it goes right into my inbox. Then, secondly, there's the mapping and visualization. This is where we use ArcGIS Online to create detailed interactive maps that show the distribution of Bigfoot sightings. We can layer different types of data, like terrain, vegetation, forest type, human activity, etc. By doing this, we can gain a deeper insight into Bigfoot activity. Right. So it goes data collection, mapping and visualization. Then third, we do our analysis. So we've got the information, we've got the data, we're going to bring them together and we're going to do our analysis. And this is where we look at the data and how it interacts with the sighting or vice versa by using the platform and the analytical tools that are wrapped up in ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS to identify patterns and correlations. Like, for example, we can analyze the proximity of sightings to water sources or to forest cover and other environmental factors. Or we could do least cost pathway to identify where Bigfoot sightings intersect with a corridor between a wildlife hub and a high conservation area. Things like that. It's like playing detective, but we have all of the data at our fingertips. And then finally, the biggest part of it is now that we've made it through collection, what was it? Collection, mapping and visualization, analysis, and we've got something to share. So what is the fourth and final step? Collaboration. We can put maps out there and put data out there to share with other researchers so that they can interpret our findings and have feedback or take it and use it in the field. So that's really what the technology behind the Bigfoot mapping project allows us to do, and all of it is powered by Esri and ArcGIS Online. And if I didn't mention that in the first episode, I think it would be a mistake because we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing if Esri didn't make the leaps in cloud based technology and put those apps and utilities out there for people like me. So I'm very grateful that they invested the energy and the effort and the time to put quality tools out there so that we can be having the conversation about Bigfoot like we are. It really changed the game when all of this technology became available. And it's really important to mention that because this is not something that was available until really widely available until like 20 the mid 2000s or like 2010, 2015. But it's really coming to maturity in the last few years and it is only getting better. So we are going to be able to make all kinds of new insights. We're going to have new tools at our fingertips, and that's going to be part of this technology and map bytes that we're going to talk about. But I saved the map byte segment for a gadget today, and what we're going to talk about is the Zoleo satellite messenger. And before I do, I'm going to do our little segment intro. So please sit back and enjoy map bytes. I don't know who that guy is in the last scene there, but I have no relation to him. He does look perplexed though, so maybe he is looking for Bigfoot. Um, but like I said, we're going to talk about Zoleo. This is a gadget that I use in the field, and one of the things that I want to cover in this podcast is not only how what we're doing to find Bigfoot, talking to experts, but I also want to cover things that I use practically in the field that are, I think, valuable to other researchers and really the general public, anybody that gets out and explores the wilderness. So this one, the Zoleo satellite messenger, I'll share my screen, is what I think is something that could really be life saving. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Um, bear with me here. Lovely world of technology. I'm going to share my entire screen over here. Screen one, two, or three. Screen three it is. What's behind door number three? Yes, I have three screens. Please don't judge me. I don't think I could work without them. Um, it's just once you start, you can't go back. But enough about that. Uh, the Zolio. What is the Zolio? Well, it's a satellite messenger that I take into the field with me when I go places that don't have cell coverage. So, for example, if I'm going into the San Juan Mountains in Colorado, which I love to go explore, um, I take this with me so my wife can know where I am. My wife can know I'm okay. She can see my check in messages. She can have a sense of security, and most importantly, if I get hurt, emergency services can find me. So, why do I like this? Why do I recommend this? Why would I even feature this? Because they're not paying me. This is something that I just think is um, good to talk about. I think it's easy to use. It's rugged. I've used it, and it's come through for me. So I want to share it with you. I'll be brief about this because I want to get to the map demo, but I've got 4 or 5 points I want to talk about why I think this is important. The first one is it's global. So you can take this with you anywhere, and it's powered by the Iridium satellite network, which is about 66 satellites that have coverage from north to south pole. And when I say north to south pole, I mean everywhere in between. So if you are exploring, this is your line of communication. This is your lifeline anywhere in between, anywhere on the globe. Um, like I said before, it's a beacon. It's a personal emergency beacon. So it's got an SOS button, and I don't know if you can keep raising it up, but over here on the screen, you can see this SOS, and what it does is it flips up, and you can click the SOS button, and that sends your location to emergency services. So if you, God forbid, get hurt or need help, or find somebody who needs help, and you need emergency services to get to you or get to them, you can hit that button, and you can be confident that somebody's going to be coming to you, and they're going to know right where you are. Another thing that's helped me in the past with this bit of technology is the weather forecasts that are streamed to your phone through this device. It actually saved my butt a couple times. One of them being when I was in the San Juans, like I talked about earlier. A blizzard was going to come through when we were elk hunting, and we wouldn't have known otherwise. And I got a weather alert here, and it was a warning, and it said that there was going to be a severe blizzard coming through with high winds. And based on the weather report, me and the other guys that were in camp made the decision to pack our camp up and drag it 6 miles out, um, just to be safe. And it's a good thing we did, because that blizzard later that evening after we got out dumped 36 inches of snow and had 45-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, trees could have fallen on our tent. We could have been snowed in for God knows how long, because we were 6 miles deep. We could have run out of food. We could have. It, it got really beyond cold there. I think it was down in the teens for an extended amount of time. So um, if you didn't have the right gear, you would have been in a lot of trouble. So this device really helped us avoid that situation, or at least make a smart decision. It's got a check-in button, which is also handy. Like I mentioned earlier, my wife likes to know that I'm okay. I have good life insurance, but I think she wants me around for a little while. So at least she knows I'm okay when I'm out there. What it does is you have a pre programmed message. And when you hit the check in button, it sends it to who you tell it to. And it also sends them your location so they can follow along with you on the map, which is kind of cool if you're doing some research too. If you're deep in an area and you want to send a location to someone that's maybe going to come join you, or you found something cool, you can send that message and get that location to them, so that they know, you can make a waypoint or something if you don't have a GPS with you. It's kind of got a nice dual purpose that way. And then finally, what I want to highlight is you might not have a charger or something when you're out there. And if you're out there for an extended amount of time, if you get lost or something like that, it really has a long battery life. And I think that's a key feature for something that needs to be powered on for you to be able to communicate. Be able to communicate. So I've used it as lasted days on a single charge, and it's rugged. It's useful. I think it's so useful, in fact, that I was happy to include it on this first episode as a vital piece of gear. And I will, throughout this series and season, be very safety focused because I think if you're going to get out there and search for Bigfoot, it's very important to understand wilderness safety. It's much different than just every day to day thing. So there's so many things that can go wrong, and there's so many things that can be a surprise. It never hurts to hear things about safety. And I also feel a bit responsible if I'm talking about places to go and you're using my map to get there and I don't forewarn you or at least arm you with some good information about how to be safe and be responsible in the wilderness and deep wilderness. um, I wouldn't be it wouldn't sit right with me. I want to make sure that you have everything you need to find Bigfoot, but most importantly, to be safe out there. So that's a little bit about this technology. Um, Now we're going to jump into the map demo, the thing you've probably all fast forwarded to. Thank you for listening if you've listened this far. But if you fast forwarded to the map demo, thanks for watching anyway. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to the Bigfoot Mapping Project homepage. So I'm going to show you how to get to the map. It's bigfootmap.com. And we're going to look at the new map today. The classic map has been out there for a while, and I don't know if people know about the new map. So there's two logos on the page for those of you listening, and the logo on the left that looks like this beautiful scene that was designed in Mid-Journey is going to be the one you click on. When you click on it, it will load up a very informative map with hot spots and new sightings and great imagery and a lot of useful tools. So the first thing you see when you jump into the map is, like I said, all this imagery and information. But how do you decipher that? What does it really all mean? I mean, just when you're looking at it, it looks cool, but to be able to do anything with it, you should probably know what it is, right? So when you get to a map, one of the most important parts of a map is the legend. Where's the legend? It's on this toolbar here on the top right where there's a lot of nice tools. And I'm going to feature the legend first because, again, if you're reading a map, you should really know what you're looking at. And the legend tells you everything that you see in the map, what it is, right? So if you see an orange point that's glowing and pretty large and prominent on the map, that is a sighting that or a report that has actually occurred in the last 7 days. Um, I think that this is one of the nice features, like I mentioned earlier, the crowdsourcing and the standardized data reporting. When a sighting occurs, we can get it, turn it around, and get it back out onto the map for all the researchers and everybody that's interested, and get it onto the map so you can know what's actually happening pretty fast, a lot faster, and a lot a lot more surface level than other databases that you might be working with, right? And you can see it in context, and it's easy to go find. The next one is a green point. It's a little bit smaller, but and that is something that was reported in the last 48 hours. And the key difference is the orange one is something that's actually occurred in the last 7 days. The green point that you see and the blue point after that are reports that have been submitted or reported in the last 48 or 10 days. The green one's 48 hours, the blue one's 10 days. And the reason I want to make that distinction is those green and blue points can be a report or an encounter or a track that has happened at any time. It's just a new submission to the database that I want people to be able to find. If you're working in a specific area and you want to know about new reports, it's still good information. It's just not current. It didn't happen recently, or it happened more than 7 days ago. The next thing that's in the map that I think is a really useful, interesting layer is the worldwide sightings map that was gifted to us and submitted by Kerry Kilmurray. I want to say thank you to Carrie because this is such an interesting data set and it provides Bigfoot information and data outside of North America, outside the United States. It's really interesting to click around. One of the things I did with it was make a map of Nepal, the Yeti sightings in Nepal. I think it's a cool map. Please go take a look at it. Let me know what you think. Click around in the map and read these sightings. They're really interesting. Um, then the next thing in the map is a BMP precise hotspots. This is probably going to be a future episode for sure, where I've already made these maps, but I just haven't published them yet, like so many other maps I've got. But I've made maps where I look at how wildlife corridors, the Bigfoot Byway series that I've made, also intersects with hotspots. So you can zoom in on these hotspots and find islands of dense Bigfoot sightings and kind of focus your research or your interest on specific areas. And it helps you not spin your wheels. And it also takes out, if you look at the classic map, you'll see a bunch of points that may look like a hotspot, but because of scale, which I'll explain in the future. But essentially, the symbols draw larger and they coalesce and they might make you think there's correlation in an area where there's really not. And this hotspot analysis takes that into account by only analyzing and grouping sites that occur. I think the distance I used was like within a mile of each other. So if you see a white hotspot on the map, that means there's a true occurrence, a true hot area there, a true hotspot because there's so many sightings within that 1 mile area that it shows up white hot on the map. And when you look at the map, you can see that. You can really see where you might want to go look. I mean, there's just to highlight it real quick. There's uh, outside of Pittsburgh and Ohio. We've got, I think Kentucky has a bunch, the Cave State, East Texas, Florida. There's some in New York, up in the Adirondacks. There's some in the Rockies in Colorado, the Sierras and the Cascades, all the way up the West Coast uh, to all the way up to Vancouver, as a matter of fact. Um, so there's just places that these hotspot analysis really pull to the surface where you might want to focus. Again, we'll talk about those in future episodes. Another nice tool in the map is being able to submit your survey. Submit your sighting. You can do it right in the map. You just click this survey button here. And I'm going to give you my best movie announcer voice for this intro to the survey. I'm just kidding. I'll let you read it. Throughout history and the world, uh, Throughout history and the world, Bigfoot has gone by many names: Sasquatch, Yowie, Honey Island Swamp Monster, Pendek, Woolly Booger, Yeti. But no matter how you know it, but no matter how you know it, the experience of seeing or hearing a Bigfoot will remain as vivid a memory as ever. Share your sightings and what you remember about them here in the Bigfoot map. I wrote that 4 years ago, not knowing what I was getting into. Um, but again, the survey is the location. Please, please, please zoom in as much as you can and get as specific as possible. Date and time of sighting, color, the height, the sex. Did you see any Bigfoot, a young Bigfoot? Were they with a parent or not? A vocalization. You can capture whether you had footprints or found footprints. Wood knocks. Did you hear any? You can add pictures. You can add audio or video. You can describe your encounter up to 1,000 characters in this field. You can attach a website, a link to a website if you have something you'd like to attach. And then I've also included additional comment fields of 1,000 each, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I capture your email in case I need to reach out. I don't share it with anyone else. And then also there's a disclaimer. Please don't abuse the website. I mean, that's all I'm going to ask. Just submit your reports and Bigfoot related data. And when you do, click submit when you're ready. Next thing is map layers. You can turn layers on and off. see what they look like in legend, and also increase transparency, decrease transparency, set a filter, or just look at the statistics of a certain field. For example, height, number of values, things, blah blah blah. Right? I think it's you can spend hours just looking at this tool, right? The map layers and configuring the map how you like. But most importantly, I just want to show you how to use the web app before I spend 2 more hours talking about what's in the web app. You can you can change your base map. I find the USA topo maps very useful if you're working in an area that has a lot of elevation and you want to understand the features in that area. It's a great layer. It's very useful. You can click and find coordinates just by where your cursor is, and you can copy them to your keyboard. You can make points just to find the coordinates if you want to work coordinate based, or you need to capture them in a database somewhere or something like that. You can extract them that way. You can search for a specific area. That's pretty self-explanatory. Just type in an address. Most importantly, or cool, the coolest thing I think I want to show you, or one of my favorite things. I'm going to clear these coordinates. Is the elevation profile tool. I think it's super cool. I'm just going to draw a line here and double click to finish. And what that's going to do is generate an elevation profile. And you can change the units to feet, for example. And there you go. You can see the elevation along that line and see the profile and how it changes. It really helps you understand an area you're working in, or maybe the elevation change between two sightings, for example, or just what the terrain really looks like and how drastic or what's the word, exaggerated the relief is. Again, hidden gem in this web app. And another hidden gem, which I think a lot of you will get some good use out of, is adding your own data to the map. You can click the add data button over here on the right and then click add data. You can add a URL. So if there's a web service or something like that, you want to get in the map, other data that's not here, and you find it and you think it'd be useful, please send it to me. But also, you can put it in the map here, and it's all these formats. Most useful would probably be a KML layer or a CSV layer or a GeoJSON or another ArcGIS web service. And then finally, you can also add a file. If you have your own shape file, a CSV database, a KML, which is Google's format, it's keyhole markup language, is what that stands for, or a GeoJSON or a GPX file, which is what a lot of GPS units use. And you just click upload and it dumps it right into the map. And you can see that data against all the other data that we've got in the Bigfoot mapping project. And then finally, I'm going to do a two quick filters, and I'm going to show you how to find, I'm going to change this to Firefly. I like it. I think the data shows up great against it. I'm going to show you how to find all the footprints in the database very quickly. It's only a few quicks. All right, we're gonna say on the right, new reports, because this is the crowdsourced data. We're gonna say yes, show me all the footprints. And I'm gonna draw my research area on the map. Let's say I'm researching this whole square. I want to see all the footprints in that area. Apply. I got my results, but I want to see them on the map. So I'm going to click this actions button and say show on map. Boom, there they are. Just like that. I've filtered and got out what I want in a minimum amount of clicks. But there's more. If I want to see all the historical data in that area, not just what's been contributed to the Bigfoot mapping project recently, I can do the same filter on that data set. And it's a little bit different because it's older and it has different attributes. But what you want to do is find the type that's a track sign, and you want to draw the same graphic. Just kind of click your area, double click to finish. I'm over a button, but I'm going to double click to finish. I'm going to click apply. Boom, there. Look at all those. And I'm going to show on map. And now when I zoom out and zoom in and out, those don't disappear from the map. Those are all the footprint reports in basically the state of Washington and Idaho. Pretty amazing. You can get to that data in a matter of 30 seconds in your research area, and you can see everything you want to see. I mean, there's other filters, but I think that's my favorite way to look at this data. I love footprint and track data. So I think it's a great, reliable way to prove an animal was actually there. So I like to look at that one in particular, but you can slice this data however you like. This web app is really designed for you to work with your data and the Bigfoot Mapping Project data in a lot of different ways. And I just wanted to highlight that because I don't think people know all these tools are there. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. We made it through the web viewer. Um, it's pretty quick. It's pretty simple to use, I hope. It's designed to be useful and it's designed to be intuitive. Um, you can click on anything in the map to see the information about it. And once again, to get to it, it's bigfootmap.com. Click new map, and then it opens up in a new tab. And that, I think, it's been a journey, but we've made it through the whole episode. We've covered everything I wanted to talk about. And I think maybe you guys have a better idea of who I am, what the Bigfoot Mapping Project is about, what Mapping Bigfoot's going to be about. You've endured some bad jokes along the way. Thank you. And I just want to say, I want to remember to say thank you to a few people here. Let's see. I've got it written down. I didn't want to forget this. Here we go. I'm going to read this because it's really important. I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. I'd really like to take a moment to thank some very important people who've made this journey possible. A big shout out to Doug and Alex Hychek for their incredible support and for believing this project from the start. Genuinely, I wouldn't be here on the Untold Radio AM network without those guys. And most importantly, I want to thank my amazing wife and my son, my amazing wife, Caroline, and my son, Rhett. You guys are both my rock. I've only been more motivated from the moment we became a family of three. Sharing this adventure with you is my inspiration. And I just want to say thank you and take the moment to acknowledge everyone that's been very supportive and encouraging. And just say I'm grateful to be here. And I'm grateful that everyone that you guys are listening. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, comment, and follow. And I look forward to episode 2. Please leave some comments. Let me know what you think. And don't be shy. Feel free to reach out. Thanks, everyone. And have a great weekend.
White snow, red sky, reach out for so high, blue eyes, fake cry, beware of the fox tonight. Cold feet, dark rain, my blood in your frozen